My big Mimighoul guide has been finding a cult following, so let's expand on it. Today I'll cover a bunch of new additions to the deck. New cards, new combos, the technical aspects, and you know that includes new cards for Dogmatika, which continue to pair beautifully with this theme. That was loud. Maybe I shouldn't be throwing my cards around. Well, it's sleeved, so it's fine. If you're interested in Mimighoul in general and haven't seen my first video, it'll teach you everything you need to know. And I do some fun card tricks to keep you entertained. I do more than just Yu-Gi-Oh! On my channel. If you're new here, you may just know Mimighoul as that yummy fodder for making the easy rank 1s. And don't tell me that this is not a rank 1 Xyz monster, okay?
But Mark, it's not black!
Well, I don't see race, not even my own. People tell me I'm white, and I believe them because I complain about Chex Mix being too spicy! I won't be covering yummy Mimighoul in this video because I only play bad decks. I only play unique, creative decks, and you are probably sick of seeing Yummy everywhere. I'll be covering it later because, oh my goodness, am I loving Yummy Mimighoul. I procrastinated this video long enough for Featherstorm to get banned. Snatchy being limited is fine though, because I have literally never needed the second copy. I'm gonna throw that one too. I'll also be making another video on building Mimighoul decks for Advanced and Genesis. I'm experimenting with separate uploads rather than doing everything as one big guide with a dozen different parts, if you can even get through the first 11. The craziest card released since my last video is Bot Herder, and I mean it. I have read this thing like 20 times and I still can't believe it's real. It is a bad offender of Yu-Gi-Oh! Text, so I'll just show you what happens. This is what happens when you activate Bot Herder. If the opponent has one of your monsters, they take 200 damage for some reason, and then you take all of their monsters. You take their wallet, you take their girlfriend, you take their will to live, and their lunch money. Why? Seriously, why? Where did this come from? Who did this? You know Mimighouls can go first with their traps and lockdowns. Now, oh boy, can they go second with yet another thrust target. Wait a second. This is a Crystal Beast mat. I can't rebrand myself as a Mimighoul tuber if I'm using a Crystal Beast mat. So it's a good thing that LB Duel sent me this awesome Mimighoul mat and matching sleeves. Look, it's covered in Mimighouls, just like your opponent's mat will be too. They sent me one with zones and with sewn edges, which Konami's mats don't have. This is my first time with one of these, and I already love it. And this is my first time doing a brand deal on here. I'm glad I don't have to pretend about how much I like this stuff. I took these for a spin, and I still can't stop shuffling this deck and playing out test hands. The sleeves are holding up so far, and they've got textures to them that feel way more fun and satisfying than Dragon Shields. They also sent along a tube, which is way better than the standard designs, because with these you have to like try to cram the mat all the way down, but this one opens up right from the middle. And yeah, check this out. They've also got an advanced Crystal Beast mat, which I could not wait to show you. You will be seeing more of this pretty soon. I'm gonna cover some Genesis builds for advanced Crystal Beasts next month. So if you are looking for cool gear, I'll vouch that you can't go wrong with LB Duel. Of course, we've also got a discount code for you. There's a link in the description that will also apply it automatically for you. It's a great way to bling out your deck while also supporting your #1 favorite Yu-Gi tuber. Alright, now back to your regularly scheduled combo jank. Bot Herder! Super easy to enable, just hand the opponent a Mimighoul and then all of their bosses are yours! As a normal spell, you can find it way more consistently with Triple Tactics Thrust, which you should have a triple playset of, because you know, we have other normal spells to grab, normal traps if going first, and these are combo pieces, so if you can search these out with Thrust, then a searcher like Mimighoul Dragon is free to go for something else. And even if the opponent doesn't have a Ghost Girl to enable you to use Thrust, you can force the opponent to activate a monster effect by giving them a Mimighoul and then flipping it and triggering its flip effect. It'll count as the opponent's card, and because you also put monsters on the opponent's field, that allows Thrust to add the card directly to your hand so you can activate it right away. Okay, well not that one, but you will get to this when this doesn't have to go to this or this anymore. It's always great to have alternate search targets. That is a lot of words to say you win. And you will win, because once Bot Herder is activated, it cannot be stopped. All it has to do is target a monster at activation. It doesn't care about what happens to the target during resolution, even if it's off the field. Another technicality is that if you do not have enough open zones for all of your new Yu-Gi-Oh cards that you own because they're yours, and that's why they're all on your side of the field now, then the ones who don't get a musical chair are destroyed by game mechanic. If I can't have them, no one will! I'm starting to think that playing this card makes me a bad person. Or am I a bad person because I was maining Featherstorm? And then, of course, they immediately banned it because every ban list just has to be a personal attack against me. Do include some generic links so you can trade away your opponent's cards for something good. I recommend maining at least one. Even if you go first, this is a control deck, you'll probably get another turn. Autocorrect thinks this is called Boy Herder, which is me at the club. Yes, boys, right this way. I've never been to the club. That's money that I could be spending on Yu-Gi-Oh cards and prop comedy. We've also got a pair of upcoming releases to watch out for. First is Mimighoul Flower in Blazing Domain. It falls in line with the second wave mimics, who special summon themselves instead of offering you a reward for summoning them. The condition here is a slight downgrade from armor. The opponent must control a monster, but for Flower, it must be face down. You could also summon this off of your own face down monster, but Mimighoul players do not want their monsters to be face down. That's a punishment for you over there. Do you like my card, by the way? My uncle works for Yu-Gi-Oh! And he said that I can have the cards early, but I just can't bring them to school. You may expect that having a way better flip effect than armor means it's finally time to replace this. But remember that we were never using this for its flip effect. We were using it for being the second best material summon. Being second best is still valuable. Oh.
Shut up and get to the combos!
The easiest material summon is Fairy, but Fairy can only be used once per turn, and its Floodgate effect rewards you for giving it to the opponent instead. So you cannot max out the one best card and get a functioning strategy out of that. You need to see a diversity of cards in order to activate more effects. And Armor is still a slightly easier summon than Flower. I have still found myself wanting Armor even when I'm holding a Flower. The flip effect is a search. Any Mimighoul card, even a spell, or any flip monster. Is this finally enough to make generic flips worth running? We'll come back to that. This is a rather unexciting design, especially for what's usually such a creative theme. It's nothing new, it's boring, but that's not bad. This plays out similarly to Slime and may replace a copy of it in your build. When flipped, a Mimic will come to your field, and it gives you another Mimighoul card to work with. Flower puts it in your hand, but Slime summons it directly to your field, and you can even summon a dragon, which brings that support with it. And now you have an extra body on field for going into Yurik's summons. Mimighoul Flower would have needed you to contribute a normal summon. So if we're going to figure out what Flower can do for us, then we need to look at what only Flower can do. It gives us a third support search. In every Mimighoul turn, you'll be prioritizing the dragon and then trading it for the giant. Each of these will search for a spell or trap on summon. You will need these two searches to establish the dungeon, plus the trap that'll enable its lockdown effect. 2 searches, 2 goals. That's left no leeway for searching out Mimighoul Maker and the zaniness that enables, unless you got one of these in your opening hand or from a supporting engine. Where did I put it? There we go. You know I've got Ancient Fairy Dragon in here somewhere. I am still crazy for field spells. Now, with a third support search, you can hit all 3, even if you didn't open with any. Or if you did get one of them, you can still go for Mimighoul Charm, which otherwise is never a priority to search for. But in that case, if you already have access to the dungeon lock, what do you need the setup spell for? Remember that Mimighoul Maker is not just setup. From the graveyard, it can later flip something up in response to a special summon. This lets you force a flip during the opponent's turn. So the opponent special summons, you banish Mimighoul Maker, and you flip what you gave them earlier, the Regeki Dragon, which will then blow up their field. Other ways to do this would be Mimighoul Master's Quick Effect to flip something up during the main phase, but you won't always have access to this. Or if you're really desperate, you can use Mimighoul Room to summon Archfiend to your field, triggering its effect on summon to flip the Regeki Dragon. But you don't want to do this because you ideally want Mimighoul Room summoning the monster to the opponent's field. Usually this is the thing that gives them the Regeki Dragon, so you're not going to be using it for this. If you want to subject the opponent to the dungeon lock and the Regeki Dragon, getting Maker in the graveyard is your best bet. Even if you didn't need it for your setup, it also helps you attack. This is what Mimighoul Flower can help assemble for you. I'll go through some plays with Flower after this next card. And by the way, while this is a plant monster, I didn't see any plant support with notable synergy. You've probably been watching the Wake Cup series, as Mocha can summon itself and flip a monster. but it's not level 1, so it's mainly just like a Swords of Revealing Light side grade. Instead of passive protection after the flip, you're getting a link material. Well, you can forget about her, because now we have the same thing, but it's actually level 1. That does not show in the light. There, it's another card from my uncle from Konami. The main gameplay flow is that we give our opponents Mimighouls, then summon Archfiend, which flips them, triggers their effects, and brings them back home, so these can next overlay for an Xyz that'll provide a search or two, some removal,
Or a synchro summon.
yeah, I'll talk about Yummy later. And how dare you call this a synchro summon? There's no tuner! Where's your Toon World? Synchro summon with a monster from my
Hold
graveyard.
on! You cannot make up words in front of people from Brooklyn.
I've got a tuner monster. It can add its level stars to a
Okay, so
non-student.
where's your Toon World? Since
Different
when
from
did
Toon
Pegasus
World.
care about birds? I'm just trying to get the lore.
The third new addition to this wonderful theme is Mimighoul Panther, which is basically an Archfiend, but it summons itself. So it summons itself from the hand if there is a face-down monster, and then it has an ignition effect to flip things up. That means Panther can act as a second Archfiend per turn, or it can be an Archfiend that you can still use even if you normal summon Dragon or Master. It's an extra combo piece that also adds to any existing cards you already had. Same with Archfiend itself. If you don't have to normal summon it anymore, donate it for a tax write-off. It's legal as long as you stay quiet. Panther plus any Mimighoul is a dungeon lock all by itself. So you go to Giant Mimighoul, get the dungeon, you can now use your normal summon on Dragon, you've got your trap. Or it can also be a Yummy play without a normal summon, but later. If paired with Archfiend, for example, you also get a +2 in hand advantage. Opponent discards, you draw, and then you continue into your instant dungeon lock. If paired with Slime, well, we all know how far those Slime combos go, but in case you feel unsure about how to pilot that open-ended combo, here are some ideas. Give the opponent Slime, summon Treasure Panther opens the chest, it's Mimighoul Slime, you can summon Dragon. Dragon, let's say, searches for Mimighoul Maker. This is where we bring in the Flower. Now, if the opponent gets Flower, you can summon Archfiend, flip the Flower, that'll get one of your support searches, and then you overlay for Giant to get the other. But let's say you got the bad outcome. You got the Flower, opponent got the other one. Now, Mimighoul Maker does not require you to summon the monster that you get. You can decline that. I will instead be using Mimighoul Flower's effect to summon it to the opponent's field, and then these two can overlay for Ripplebird. And Ripplebird will force that Flower to flip. Come to our side, we get a Mimighoul Dungeon, which can search, and we didn't use a normal summon here. So if you want to go ahead and search for an Archfiend, you can still flip the opponent's Archfiend, and they have to discard, and you get to draw. And then overlay again, maybe we'll put this up here for space, Giant Mimighoul, and then you get Mimighoul Room. You don't have to end it there either. You can overlay 2 Mimighouls to get Throne, detach for Throne to summon Mimighoul Master from the deck, and then Mimighoul Master will trigger, searching for a fairy to give the opponent. Now you can force a fairy flip, which shuts off the opponent's special summon monsters. You can also use Mimighoul Room to summon a new dragon from the deck, and you will have Mimighoul Maker at the ready to flip that as well, if you need it. And you've also got Mimighoul Throne powering up Master. Oh, I should put the Master sideways, and then Ripplebird can prevent the opponent's monsters from attacking, and this is yours. Yay, cards! Just an example of something you can do with Mimighoul Panther and a Slimy Boy. Where'd he end up? There he is.
He's a good boy.
Has this ever happened to you? Mimighoul Room has flipped the opponent's monster down and given them a Regeki Dragon. But when that gets opened, it won't destroy the opponent's monster anymore, only face-up ones. Treasure Panther reveals up to 3 monsters at once, throwing the opponents directly into Dragon's destruction. This trick is especially ideal for hybrid decks, as Mimighoul Giant's effect that lets you sneak past face-down monsters only applies to other Mimighouls. Everyone else would have to waste their attacks on cleaning up. Now, with Mimighoul Flower being able to search out any generic flip monster, it's time to violate the Geneva Convention. Last time, I advocated for Fire Sorcerer. Use Mimighoul Maker to give it to your opponent and Archfiend to yourself. Archfiend flips it, and now the opponent has to banish 2 cards from their hand. At the start of the next turn, use Mimighoul Room to flip it down and summon an Archfiend. Then the second Archfiend triggers, flipping it up again. Your opponent now loses a total of 4 cards from their opening hand. But it is a brick, and if Maker gives it to me, then it's useless. So it was often a flex for when I already had the dungeon lock, and it was ineffective against, well, let's just say a former friend who refused to stop opening with Perulia, which just redraws all the cards that I banished. Stop not letting me not let you play Yu-Gi-Oh, stupid. The other candidate, and the one that I prefer now, is Guard Dog, which locks out special summons for their whole turn. But this has issues no matter how the Maker lands. If Maker gives you the Floodgate, it'll go to your hand, and you will need a spare normal summon to set this, which you won't be using to play something like Dragon to further your combos. Or you could also use 2 flip monsters to link summon Subterror Behemoth Fiendus, which can play that Guard Dog from your hand face down for you. We could start with something simple, for example, give the opponent a flower, you can give yourself a Panther, it flips the flower, which brings it to your field, searches for Guard Dog. This didn't take your normal summon, so you can set it, and then you go for Giant Mimighoul, which is going to get you a Mimighoul room, start of the opponent's turn. This summons Archfiend, flips Guard Dog, skips their turn.
Featherstorm who?
If Maker gives the opponent the flip Floodgate, then you've got an even bigger problem on your hands, because on their next turn, they will flip this, and then you cannot special summon. So this next trick was taught to me by a D/D/D player. I told him that learning that deck is a form of self-harm, and he did not disagree. If Maker gives the opponent the Floodgate, put it in the transverse zone. I am talking, of course, about your transverse abdominis, your lower abs. If your posture leaves your butt sticking out like this, then you need to tighten your abs to pull that butt in. Otherwise, people are going to think you're available, and they're going to make a move on you, and you're going to have to say, oh no, you have to beat me in a duel first. But they're playing Paleo, which means they have infinite ways to lock out your battle phase forever. It's going to be an hour-long slog, and Duelist said it's time in the round, double loss, nobody's getting action tonight. So you need to work those lower abs with some leg lifts. Now, your back will want to arch up in order to avoid stress, but that's the point, so you need to flex your lower abs to keep your back flat against the floor. Got it? And if this wears out your thighs, then you're not using your abs enough. Tighten, try to lift from the abs. You are not lifting from the thighs. Keep doing this, and no Paleo players will go anywhere near you. Alright, duelists, now that your transverse abdominis is ready to throw down, it's time to link summon Geonator Transverser. I knew I would one day be stupid enough to do stupid combos with this stupid card. To this day, whenever I summon a generic boss monster, I try to remember where Geonator Transverser links to, just in case someone's running it, which no one ever has. But, someday I'm gonna run into someone who's crazier than me, and I want to be prepared. If you get to it through Mimighoul Maker and it goes to the wrong side, well, if you can do some Mimighoul plays, whatever happens, you get some monsters out, you can use Geonator Transverser to flip these, and if you're able to get to Mimighoul Room at the start of the opponent's turn, you can use it to play an Archfiend that'll then flip the Guard Dog up and stop your opponent's turn. And that Mimighoul Room will also flip down whatever Mimighoul you gave to the opponent, ensuring that it can bite them too. Give them a try, practice with them, see if they vibe with you. Dogmatika is back and stronger than ever. Nadir Servant is an amazingly powerful spell for anything that can run it, as you get a search plus a trigger from your toolbox. They are also equipped for using Ultimate Slayer, which is nearly unstoppable removal plus a toolbox trigger. Also, normal spells, so 2 more reasons to thrust in addition to those ab exercises. Anytime you can get 2 cards for 1, you are gaining ground. Since the previous video, the toolbox of extra deck monsters that you can trigger by being sent has gained Valen the Supersize Sky Blaster for destroying face-down cards. Sounds relevant to Mimighoul? And speaking of removal, I don't have to explain the Fallen and the Virtuous, do I? Here's what I'm doing with it. You'll remember from my big guide that Mimighouls easily enable the double search of Dogmatika Matrix, which means at the end of your plays, you're dropping an instant level 12 ritual that cuts the opponent's extra deck in half and allows Dogmatika Matrix to snipe something from either player's extra deck. The ritual spell sends Despian Lulu Lilith, which will summon a saint at the end phase, but we'll come back to that. The Matrix can also be searched by Nadir Servant, getting you to Ecclesia, which gets you to Matrix, because why not make every Yu-Gi-Oh card these days a self-summoning Strato so the combos never end? One issue with this engine was Ecclesia's lack of alternate search targets if you already have Matrix. She could get Maximus if this is a safe matchup for his effect. Well, now she can search for the Fallen and the Virtuous, which counts as a Dogmatika card. It's actually 2 cards, it's the Fallen and the Virtuous. That's really efficient. This sends Albion or Titaniclad for the cost cost, which means at the end phase, that's going to grab you another copy of the Fallen and the Virtuous. Or if you can't wait, you can have this send the new Ecclesia Synchro, thank you my uncle from Yu-Gi-Oh! And that'll enable this card's graveyard effect to reload your toolbox and shuffle a card on the field back into the deck. So you can get double removal. Now, remember the Saint that Lulu gets us at the end of the turn? Well, FV is a quick spell. So, at the end of the turn, you can have this pull Ecclesia out of your deck. Ecclesia searches for the Fallen and the Virtuous. You can play this even during the end phase by sending Albion the Branded Dragon, destroy something, and then still the end phase, so you can immediately have this fetch another Fallen and Virtuous from your deck. I have a feeling that this will probably see the limited list once those Chronicles decks are off the shelves. Which is fine, because we've also got Dogmatika Chaplain on the way. When he's sent to the graveyard, he recovers a Dogmatika card from the graveyard, so you can use Fallen and the Virtuous again. He's also got Saint stats. If you send this to the graveyard and the opponent special summons, that will pull Chaplain out of the deck. This, I think, is probably better than the Iris Sword Soul as something to summon off of Lulu, because it's much easier to get out of the hand. And when you summon this from the hand, you get to send something from the toolbox again. This has a surprising amount of utility. Oh, and don't forget that when Ecclesia is around, this can also be a quick Monster Reborn. And unlike the spell card Monster Reborn, this doesn't put any restrictions on the Monster Reborn. You can totally use that to summon Dragon and then trigger its search effect. That seems innocent enough.
There's also the super cool Fleur-de-Lis Thunderbolt, which has 90 base power and a 10% chance to paralyze. But Fleur can only wield Dogmatika trap cards, and their traps are not for the Fairweather Faithful, who only show up at the Dogmatika Matrix on, like, Christmas or Easter. You gotta really commit. No extra deck for 2 whole turns. Well, I'm a free spirit who doesn't like to be locked down.
In conclusion, a versatile engine just got a lot more versatile. It is well worth going a little bit out of your way to incorporate spells like these into your deck. I hope this video has given you enough combos and text to think about for a while. Thanks again to LB Duel for sponsoring this madness. If you also enjoy treating your favorite decks to mats and sleeves that feel fantastic, we've got you covered. I also recommend their playmat tube, because this is no contest. Wow, that one makes a fun sound when I throw it. I have been working on a dozen videos to get uploaded over the next few months. The next one's gonna be another gaming video for Pokemon Scarlet, and then after that I'll be going over Mimighoul deck lists and my yummy deck profile. We're also coming up on the 10-year anniversary of my vlogging career. Yikes. Yeah, I haven't always been a Yu-Gi tuber. I'll have a video about that too, and some stuff from the upcoming 300th YCS in Richmond. I hope that you will enjoy these, even the videos that aren't about Yu-Gi-Oh! That's also part of the reason why I love stuff like this. This game is so much better when it's about more than just the cards. Enjoy yourselves. If you're not having fun, then you're not winning. And if you are having fun, then no matter how the duel goes, you've won the day. You gotta make your own fun, because you're not gonna make friends playing all these wombo combo lockdowns. I kid, but like blinging out your gear does help to keep the heat down.